morning everyone, and welcome back to the Runpreneur vlog, where we discuss all things entrepreneurship and running. You just have to bear with me a second because this is a massive puddle I'm about to try and navigate, but it's a beautiful morning today. Oh, so muddy. Oh, super muddy. It's a beautiful morning but muddy, as you can probably tell, and so not the greatest of running conditions. I hate running in the wet and the mud, but nonetheless, it's Sunday run day today. We discuss all things running, and today's topic is picking a business partner when running. So as always, if you like this episode, give it a like and a subscribe, and let's get started. So, picking a business partner when running. So the reason I'm talking about this today is that one of my business partners is a guy called Roy, and he's someone who I used to run with a lot. Randomly, we don't run together as much anymore, just because I'm doing the vlog and these types of things. But I must have churned out probably the best part of 1,000 miles with him on social runs from one time or another. And the reason for this episode today is that you learn a lot about people when you run with them, and there's a lot of traits that a runner has that you can use to make a decision on whether you want to work with that person or not in business. And I'll go through these traits in a minute so you can understand this. But before we do, I've got my eldest son Leo with me running today. He's just going to say hello, and he's out with me today because it's Christmas holidays. But so, what are the traits of a runner that can be useful in a business? Well, the first thing that I like to say about when you run with someone, especially if you do long distance stuff, or longer distance stuff, so anything kind of, I suppose, 8 or 9 miles and above, you start, if you've been running for that period of time, your body is a little bit depleted. And when you're depleted, your mind works in strange ways. So just bear with me, I'm just going to run past some people and then I'll carry on this point of topic. Morning. Yeah. Morning. Morning. So yeah, your mind works in strange ways, and you almost let your guard down. Now, I had a failed business venture many moons ago. I got involved in a kind of permeable paving product, which was ultimately it was rubber, adhesive, and stone that was mixed together to create it's like a soft play, you know, the kind of softer surfaces that you see in soft play playgrounds outside. But not to digress too much, but when I got into business, even though it was a failed business, the guy who owned the business, who I invested into and took a share of, when I met him, he was based over in Florida, and we flew over to Florida, and the way he did his due diligence on me and my now ex-business partner, there's a common theme here, when we flew over there to meet with the guy, was he took us out and just had a big session on the booze. So we were heavily intoxicated, and then he'd ask us lots of stuff. We didn't know this at the time, you see, when we were under the influence. And speaking to him the next day with a sore head, he would say that he does this with anybody he gets into business to, because they let the guard down and he can kind of dissect and understand them more. And I think the reason I'm telling you this is it's similar to running. When you run with someone for the long distance stuff, first and foremost, if you do long distance running with somebody else, just in the basis of conversation, you're going to find out quite a lot about them. But when you start doing some of the longer miles into the run, your guard has dropped, so you can almost ask questions that you wouldn't probably be comfortable asking at the beginning of the run, but once you've got to that stage, you can ask them, and the other guy or person will generally answer them very, very honestly, because their mind is depleted, that they can't really think of saying anything other than the truth. And that's what I found anyway, and that's something that I certainly experienced with Roy. He's like a brother to me now, but before I started running with him, just a stranger. I didn't trust him at all. Not because I didn't trust him, but I didn't trust anybody until I get to know him. But now I trust him implicitly because I've been through so many runs with him, and we've dissected stuff, we've talked about stuff, and I understand a lot about who he is, and he understands a lot about who I am. And interestingly, we've done some real long stuff, and you can see how hard someone's willing to push themselves in terms of, because when you run with somebody else, the challenge is that if they're a stronger runner than you, then social running is supposed to be catering for all standard of runner, i.e. so if somebody's way better than somebody else, the person who's better should technically slow their pace and slow their distance to kind of fit in with the person with the least running ability. It's just kind of runner's etiquette. But what you do see when you're two kind of similar level runners, and Roy is a quicker runner than me, he can run stuff quicker than me, but I can do longer stuff than Roy. So we've done races where he's won by a comfortable margin, not just me and him, but in actual races. So he's won by a comfortable margin, kind of up to half marathon distance. But anything above that, he'll get to kind of 17, 18 miles and he kind of struggles because he doesn't train for anything longer than that. Whereas I've done ultras and marathons and all this type of stuff. So we're probably quite similarly matched. But when you go out on runs, I've done some shorter, faster stuff with him, and it's really put me to my limit. And I've done some longer stuff with him that's really pushed him to his limit. But it's seeing that person's, the way they process, the difficulties or the challenges, the obstacles of running with the depleted energy supplies, how you can manage that, how you can keep going. Are they going to quit at the first sign of pain, or are they able to push their way through it? And unfortunately, Roy can push himself through most things. So he's somebody who I knew would kind of run through walls for you, and it's nice to have that in a business partner, someone who's gonna in the face of adversity, able to kind of conquer that and move forwards. So they're the kind of two main things I would say that helped me in choosing a business partner. And obviously I've been in business now for 3, maybe 4 years, and it's going from strength to strength. And we've also had, these 3 or 4 years, previous years, when I kind of came out of a previous business partnership, went through some extremely tough times, almost facing bankruptcy at times, and I've been through that with this business partner, Roy, now. And if you can get through those types of times with somebody else, it's a really good starting point for a potential partnership to flourish. So, in the strange kind of summary to this episode, is I've done my due diligence on somebody through running, and I wasn't intentionally doing it. We turn around here, mate. I wasn't intentionally doing it, but what I found was, just through building a relationship through running, you find out things about someone that you wouldn't find out about them if you sat and had a coffee with them, for example. So I think there's a lot to be said for that. So to summarise the 2 points, number 1, when you run with people, especially if you do kind of longer distance stuff and you start depleting people's energy supplies, you've probably seen in some of my vlog episodes that there's on occasions when my mind almost goes blank, or I'm slurring my words. That's not because I slur, it's because my body's working hard running, even harder when I'm talking, and inevitably I'm running on a more depleted, more kind of open, transparent. So the barriers or the defence mechanism is weaker. So inevitably I'm not going to think about conjuring up, lies and deceit and all this type of stuff, because your body's working so hard elsewhere that it just makes you more open and honest. So point number 1 is running with people when they're a bit more depleted, they open up a lot more, and you're much more likely to get that high level of integrity that you're expecting, and you would get from most people. I'm not saying there's a lot of dishonest people out there, but you often see business partnerships being founded on false information, and doing something like running with somebody can help you kind of unearth that, if there is any of that underlying dishonesty kind of going. I'm not saying there is, but you get my point. And number 2, you can also find out about how hard they'll push themselves because it's training, it's commitment, it's discipline, it's accountability. Do they let you down when you arrange to go for a run? You know, can they push through the pain barrier? Do they want to continually improve, push themselves further? You can tell a lot about somebody in their, you know, habits of running, intentions, whether they're trying to improve, progress. You know, all these things tells you a huge amount about somebody. And I think if you've got somebody who's got an understanding of business or entrepreneurship, but has also come from a sports-based background of trying to be, I wouldn't say elite, but a higher level of sport. And you know, I taught you can always work it out where you are, standard-wise and stuff like that. I'm not talking elite level, but if you've been doing sport at a relatively good level, then you have to have that certain mindset to drive you to succeed, to compete, to better yourself, to improve. And these are amazing traits that you can bring across into a business partner. So it's a bit of a wild and wacky episode today, but hopefully there's been some decent learning outcomes. And I suppose to summarise, if you're not going to run, I'm not saying, you know, when you form a business partnership, just go out and run with someone, but it's a technique and it opens the doors to other things you do. What could you do with somebody as almost like a test to see whether they're somebody who you can work with or not? And a test is not a couple of coffees, it's doing something, seeing them in another light, which can give you a little bit of an insight to what they're likely to be when you inevitably face some adversity in your business. Are they going to sink or swim? Are they going to find a solution? Are they going to push through the pain barrier? Are they going to graft hard? You can get a lot of this from doing things like running. So I hope that's been useful. It's a bit windy now, but as always, if you've got any questions on this stuff, just drop me a comment. I'll respond to every one. If it's a bigger topic, I'll still respond, but I'll do a separate vlog episode and tag you in. If it's not relevant to you, then please just unfollow on the social feeds, no problem. But if you do that, please make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel Runpreneur, as I do a different topic on each day of the week, and hopefully there's something in there that is going to be relevant to you that you can dip in and out of on an ad hoc basis in the future. Just going past somebody. Morning. And also check out the Runpreneur Facebook community group, whereby I'm hosting all of my free resources and with accompanying the blog. And the first one is for anybody who wants to up their content marketing game. I've just posted my hosted my content repurposing, reformatting and optimizing checklist. It's a 70-step process, but it helps you learn how to repurpose content in multiple formats relevant to each social platform, and to optimize them on each platform as well, to hopefully be omnipresent across all your channels. So all I have to say is that the Runpreneur vlog was set up to help entrepreneurs and business owners overcome the emotions of stress, anxiety and overwhelm by using exercise, and in my case running, as a release mechanism to control, manage and thrive under these emotions that every single entrepreneur and business owner experiences. It can often be the difference between success and failure, how well that entrepreneur deals with these emotions. The ones that do it well and have this release mechanism in place in whatever format to kind of release the pressure, release the stress, to get clarity on their position, they can go on and keep in control and thrive under these emotions. The ones that don't, they're just bottlenecks, and pressure builds and builds and builds. And unfortunately, if pressure builds, one of two things will generally happen. The entrepreneur will break or the business will break, and either or is often terminal to the likelihood of your business lasting the test of time. Now, I've been there before. As explained, I've had multiple business failures, multiple business partnership separations, and I've been rock bottom and nearly bankrupt because of these emotions in the past. And I feel finally I have this exercise, this routine, this running routine in my life, which allows me to clear my head, to get clarity and focus on what I'm doing, stay in control, and ultimately take on more than I've ever done before. So my pledge to you is, don't be someone struggling with entrepreneurial pride. If you have got no one to talk to and you're bottling all these emotions up, just drop me a message, okay? Loads of entrepreneurs have done this already, and hopefully we've helped them. There's no catch here at all. I'm not selling anything, okay? It's just, if you're struggling, I don't want you to go through what I went through. So if I can give you a few tips and a bit of advice for free, then I'm more than happy to do so. So reach out and let's jump on a call. So So that's pretty much it. All that's left to say is, if you like this episode, please like and subscribe, and if you want to see more similar content, check out the playlist link below. And all I'll end with, as always, is stay positive, stay happy, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.